Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm back. Y'all have to forgive me. I'm gonna have to make a part two out of this. I mean, I'm not using the camera or nothing, but there was some undeleted files in my trash, and it caused my storage to run out of space. Cause I was like, bro, I was dead in the middle of my coup de grace, where I was like, oh my god, bro, really, really? Like, I'm not gonna talk about this? Oh, we gonna talk about it? So basically, my roommate, a dude that I was cool with, because it's been a whole gang of bullshit ass niggas up in that. The fuck? Oh, okay. Make sure I'm hitting them. Since I've been living out here for the past damn near 8 years, it's been a whole gang of bullshit ass ninjas. And I hate to say it, but my dude got arrested. I mean, if I can say that, he was a bullshit ass ninja too. But he was cool though. And that's probably because he was an old head, an ON, not a YN. Because I'm talking about, of all these fuck niggas whom I damn near had to fuck up, and that I've gone out of my way to stay out the way and stay away from, but they seem to want something to do with me for whatever reason. I mean, the guy, what I'm saying, the guy who can't get no girls, but I've been up here getting girls. And like I said, it could have been clapping cheeks, but I turned them down because of the fuck shit they was on, right? On this bullshit ass Colorado society. So I known this cat for 2 years, bro. And his car's still out there now. His stuff, everything in his room. He had yeah, he had a beer can, because that's what he did when whenever I saw him, he had a cigarette in one hand, yeah, a cigarette in one hand and a beer can in the other. And I'm in the backyard, low key, thinking maybe I can gank this nigga for his beer can, or I can, I'm thinking if I can go to him and ask him, you left your beer can outside, can I, can you loan a nigga, can you fuck with a nigga and let me, get with it. And the funny thing is now, bro, I don't even want that. I don't even want that beer can, bro. I'm dead ass for some odd reason. And I don't know if it's because I don't fuck with American beer like that, not shitty American beer. I'll fuck with a Sam Adams. I don't know if it's because of that or the fact that my partner gone or all the above. Because it's tragic. And how much you want to bet? And that's what I'm here to talk about, y'all. So forgive me for the tangents, forgive me for the ransom. That's why we're at the crux of what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about, you know, all this fucking fentanyl, all these fucking hard drugs in this lip-tart ass state they got out here, and how it cost my boy his life. And this man was literally the same age that my father is. And I talked to my father yesterday about this. And needless to say, I feel some type of way about it. I mean, I like to think I'm still in shock about it. But on the slick is as tore up about it as I am about it. I'm mad at my dude. I was talking about this, when Dolph got murked, how like, that shit, how that shit broke my heart, but I was mad than a motherfucker at Dolph for moving as carelessly as he was moving. I'm like, you moving the way you moving amongst some thieving ass, hating ass, treacherous ass ninjas. Come on, bro. And you got people relying on you to stay alive. So, what I'm saying? To stay smart so you can stay alive. I mean, come on, bro. You a real street ninja. You ain't no say so p ass nigga. And that was a white boy, but a wigger all the same. Come to find out, he got clapped by a Houston crew. I mean, that again, it don't matter. It don't matter because his nigga Sauce Walker is supposedly his nigga. He a Houston nigga, and the niggas who clapped Say So P obviously followed him to Memphis via Houston because they found the niggas who clapped Say So P dead in Houston. So what does that tell us? Treacherous motherfuckers, bro. But I was like, Dolph, you know better than that, and that's how I feel. That's how I feel about Brett. You know better than that, bro. Come on, bro. You an old head. I'm supposed to be even though I ain't no I ain't no spring chicken. If y'all hear noise in the background, that's me shooting some hoops. That's what I came out here for. But I had to go to another park because that's again the type of silliness that we be talking about. It ain't a soul out here because it ain't exactly 10 o'clock. But like I said, we encountered that foolishness last time at the other park. This park where I'm at now is a little farther. But this is really a time that I really need to be alone right now. I don't need nobody up here with their dogs running all over the place, fucking with a nigga. Then, like I said, I shoot Fido in the face. Cause Fido up here fucking with me, especially right now, feeling some type of way, and I ain't even got my blick on me. I'm just saying though, I wise up and start carrying my blick, and Fido want to get the fucking with me, and I break his ass, I break his bitch ass off something proper. I'm gonna be in the wrong. You know what I'm talking about? Because at the most, I just hit Fido in the motherfucking face with this damn basketball I got. Nigga wanna be up here fucking with me. And this is not the time right now. This is not the time right now for anybody to be fucking with me for real. Cause we all mourning about this shit. We're all in mourning about this shit, bro. Brett was my nigga, fool. And I only knew the nigga 2 years, but he probably the closest thing to a cool Colorado nigga that I know for a fact and that I'm gonna run into. Cause these YNs, I ain't got no, and I'm like, again, exactly. I'm damn near 40 years old. What the fuck business I got dealing with some 20-year-old or even some 30-year-old any motherfucking way? But that's how these weirdos are. That's how these weirdos are out here. Like they all just a bunch of fucking kids from 1 to 82. And where I'm from, if you my age, if you in your late 30s or in your 30s period and you hanging out with some teenagers, that is the crux, that is the epitome of you being a weirdo, a loser, a creep, all that kind of shit. But it's like here, the teenagers be the ones wanting to hang out with the old heads. Like I said, it's goofy than a motherfucker out here. It's goofy than a motherfucker out here, bro. So, when I do find somebody, and I was like this back in Memphis too, for real. Cause I couldn't do nothing with niggas of my generation. They too silly. Like even the girl that I was talking about, who was crying over him, she older than me. She is 40. And I mean, again, a whole millennial, a whole goofball. And again, just the crux of what my generation looks like. Goofy motherfuckers that I just couldn't do nothing with, which again goes back to what I was ranting about, which is exactly why I ain't got no wife, no kids, and most likely won't have none. And at this point, I've accepted my fate. As long as I can get in the right career so that I can progress to the next level, I'm cool on all this shit. I'm cool on my generation as a millennial. I'm cool on the Gen Zers. I'm damn sure cool on them. And I'm cool on Colorado. Because Colorado has gone out of its way. And we expats have been saying it. All have been talking about how goofy Colorado is. How goofy the politics are out here. And part of that goofiness is what got my boy killed. Because, my seafood, and my Dragon Kung Fu seafood, He lives in New York City. I think all of his students live in New York City. He's got one, who's also, I guess you can say he's a Sifu. I guess you can say he's my Sifu or sensei, because he does a little bit of, Chinese and Okinawan style. That's sensei. I want to say his name's Russ Smith out of some city down in Florida, Palm Beach. I wouldn't know. I don't live in Florida. But besides me, he's the only one who probably doesn't live in New York. But even still, he lives back on the East Coast, and he teaches a myriad of things. But one of the things that I'm learning from him is Bachman, and five. I guess five ancestors fist. Even though what I'm um, what I'm what I'm extrapolating from that is, specifically the white crane of five ancestors fist. But with five ancestors fist comes, monkey kung fu as well as this style called Tai Tzu Chuan, as well as classic white crane, because I'm subscribed to a white crane website already. And he said that the Dragon Kung Fu Sifu said that you know New York has New York has a drug problem and a homeless problem, but there are spots. There's a way to avoid all that foolishness. So and this is New York. I didn't always know that, because I don't know. The first thing you know, I know the only thing I know about New York is that Manhattan is the upper echelon part of the world, but you got Queens, you got the Bronx, obviously, places that you don't want to be. You know what I'm saying? And if you're trying to avoid the druggy problem, the homeless problem, there are basically parts of town where that's situated that, as long as you stay out of those parts of town, you know, you won't have to worry about that. Unfortunately, here in Denver, in a lot of ways, Denver in that aspect is much like Memphis, because when it comes to crime, and that number one crime being homicide and theft, it's everywhere. You don't have the option of being in some part of Memphis and being safe. Now, fortunately, Denver's a little different when it comes to that aspect of crime, because it ain't the ops ain't out here, the YNs ain't out here where I'm currently at. They in Aurora, they in Southwest Denver, where I work. But one thing that is everywhere, and I do mean everywhere, it's in Boulder. It's homelessness. You got the homeless population, and you got drugs, and it's everywhere. Just like the homicide, the YN culture is everywhere in Memphis. The homeless culture is everywhere. The drug problem is everywhere, and you can't escape it. It's all over the place. And as much as Brett was my dude, as much as Brett was my boy, even though, like I said, he was literally my father's age. So basically a boomer. He was in that life. He was about that life. He had his junky ass friends who would come over, and they'd be up there, doing whatever. I don't think they was fucking like that. I don't think nobody was clapping cheeks like that. But damn if they wasn't smoking, damn they if they wasn't drinking, and damn if they wasn't doing drugs. And I knew that shit. So as much as this fucks me up, I can't even say, based off of that, based off of Colorado culture, based off of what I know about this place and what I knew about him, I can't even say this shit surprised me for real. Even though it tears me up, and I'm still, like I said, I'm mad than a motherfucker at him. I'm mad at him for that shit, bro. I'm mad. I'm more, see, it's just like I'm mad at him the same way I was mad at Dolph. I wasn't a Dolph fan, but I knew the importance. I knew the importance of Dolph. Dolph was important to the people. Dolph was important to the city. He was important to his family. He had people who loved him. See me when you hear the voice, when you hear my voice, when you see me, you're looking at a shadow. You literally looking at a ninja, an overweight ninja. Hey, an overweight ninja who can bench press damn near 300 pounds. Well, that's cool. You're looking at a shadow. You're looking at a specter. You're looking at somebody who's who's literally goes out of his way to get out of the way. And all the shit that I experience, irregardless, it just goes to show, and it further adds fuel to the fire because I'm like, well, shit. But we were just talking about this, were we not? We were. I just did a video on this too, bro. That is so crazy about the day of the Geechee being gone, and you Negroes going with it. I mean, it's sad. It's unfortunate. Every now and then you'll find you'll find an old head, an OG type shit, but he got the spirit of a YN. Because, like I said, as cool as I was with this dude, at the end of the day, I'm looking at the shit as fucked up as I am about it, right? I'm looking at the shit like, at the end of the day, he's one of them. He's a Colorado. He's a black dude from Colorado. His whole ancestry and bloodline, comes from Colorado. And with Colorado comes a whole different mind frame that we Tennesseans, let alone other expats who live in Colorado, simply do not have. Our lives were too real for that shit. It was too real in Tennessee to be up here going around, just shooting the shit, smoking, drinking, slinging dope. And they do that down there in Tennessee, but they not nearly as lax because they murking niggas down there. And they got their little murder crews out here. They got their little Bloods and Crips and all that other shit. Like I said, my dude was from Park Hill, so they got that's where supposedly they got all the Bloods and shit. So I've heard. But you're not gonna sit up here and juxtapose, Denver from Memphis when it comes to that murder shit. I'm sorry, bro. It's we murder capital down there, bro. I'm sorry. Detroit and Chicago ain't even on our shit. It might be we might be on the same. It might New Orleans. The only cities that might be on our same are Baltimore, because I definitely wouldn't go down there. I was gonna say Chicago, but no, Chicago ain't even on our level because there's areas in Chicago that you can go to. You have the option of staying out of those hood ass parts of Chicago, and you'll be straight, provided your money right. So with that said, I'd say it's St. Louis. That's just as fucked up. Um, Jackson, Mississippi is fucked up. New Orleans is fucked up. Baton Rouge is fucked up. That's just places like that. Yeah, down south for real. I mean, and one thing they have in common, they're all throughout the Delta that are just as fucked up, if not even more fucked up than Memphis. Memphis is rough, and I wouldn't take away from those other cities that I just mentioned. I wouldn't take nothing away from them either. And yeah, they got drugs, they got dope, but the thing about my city and neighboring cities is that the number one drug of choice is really marijuana. It's weed. I mean, it's a different spectrum though. And the worst kind of drugs they tend to have down there is crack cocaine. Because I was just thinking about how uh, Three members of 3-6 Mafia got stretched out fucking with drugs. So drugs are down there. I mean, it ain't like, you know what I'm saying? It ain't like Memphis is just devoid of drugs. It's just certain preferences we have down there. It's gonna be weed. It's gonna be cane. What it's not gonna be is like speed and like what? Not to sound racist, but like white drug, like meth. Hey, fentanyl. Memphis is going. Memphis is probably gonna be short on that shit. I hate to say you can't get it. Yeah, LSD. Not to say you can't get it, but it's probably gonna be short on that shit. You're gonna have to probably run into the right suppliers because everybody ain't gonna have that shit. Whereas out here, they got weed. They got weed that's laced with fentanyl, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped fucking with weed. Because y'all know weed is legal out here, and and it doesn't surprise me too that they were trying to legalize weed. They had all these silly ass excuses, but come to find out, the only reason why they were legalizing weed is because marijuana, is just a gateway drug to other all kinds of crazy ass drugs they got out here. And ain't nobody really doing it. The police ain't doing nothing about it. They just letting them do whatever. So with that said, if you trying to, like, I would tell anybody, it's obvious that Colorado is the place to go. Like all you got, like all that trap house shit that you got to do, because like I said, especially down south, niggas are getting locked up for weed. But shit, if you really on some drug head type shit, Colorado is the place to go. Your house would be the trap house. You wouldn't need a trap house, because the thing about it is out here is that weed is illegal. I mean, I almost said weed is illegal. Weed is legal. It's perfectly legal. And all these other drugs that are supposed to be illegal, yes, they're illegal. But as long as you doing them inside your home, they ain't gonna do nothing about it. That's their definition of illegal. It's illegal, but just don't be outside doing it where we can catch you, where we literally see you out here, um, either stretched out or just fucked up on some other type of dope. And I've seen it. I've seen like RTD, basically rent a cops as well as city cops, picking people up and trying to, they got these rehabilitation centers out here where you got folks who are strung out. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. They strung out on some dope other than marijuana. And they got these damn rehabilitation centers. They got them. They got them going too. And again, man, again, this goes back to what I was telling. This goes back to what I was telling you Denver niggas about your city. Why you'll never garner the same respect that Los Angeles has, that New York has, that the dirty South has. Because amongst so many other things, yes, these cities got homeless fraud. I was telling my seafood that you know, the only place that's probably worse than Denver is maybe when it comes to homelessness and drugs is maybe Seattle and Skid Row, in Los Angeles. So Seattle and Los Angeles, again, West Coast cities. Man, I'm sorry, y'all. Just talking about this is fucking me up. You know what I'm saying? I ain't boo-hooing or crying or nothing or some shit like that, but man, I could cry right now because I'm like, bro, that bull broke my heart, bro. I could cry right now, bro. I'm fucked up about this shit, bro. But with me being a Ninja Spectre and everything, and I was telling my boss this too, because like I said, it put me, it had me feeling away, bro, for real, for real. And I was telling my boss that as fucked up as I am about it, this is one of those things that me being a Spectre, me being an expat from Tennessee, I probably don't need to be trying to get involved in. Like as far as going to his funeral and doing all that shit. It seems hard. It seems pretty fucking heartless and cold blooded for me to be doing that type of shit, or to me not to be doing that type of shit. But like I said, it's obvious I ain't got no place with Colorado folks and Colorado politics. I mean, these I'm the way I see it. I'm like, y'all own people, y'all own locals, y'all are locals. Y'all got family out here. Y'all got, so we really ain't got no. And even if we did show up, knowing your goofy Colorado ass, y'all ain't gonna appreciate. If anything, y'all be lashing out at us, and we over here trying to be respectful. Because my whole thing is I'm a man on a mission, bro. I have a mission to complete out here. So I'm not in no position, truth be told, to be getting involved in anything that's related to Colorado and its bullshit, except getting my certificates, getting my certifications, getting my degrees from accredited colleges out here in Colorado so that I can take them to any part of the world and find me a job within the last 20, God willing, 30 years of my life to get as much money as I can so I can basically PI until I DI. Because I'm gonna be 52 by the time I get through with this. Because like I said, I'm 39 now, and part of me be thinking if I only had 7 years, let's say I had everything set back when I was 32, and let's say I was starting school at 32, when I didn't owe, like assuming I didn't owe the University of Memphis $4,000 for a personal loan and had my transcript on hold so that I couldn't apply to CU Denver until the Biden administration forgave that loan, small loans. And that wasn't until, what I'm saying, yeah, 4 years after the fact in 2021. So, yeah, my 30s basically set the foundation to basically continue what I did in my 20s back in Memphis so that I can basically settle the score for up here trying to make a nigga out to be just another member of the mud seal. Because I've been said, you got me fucked up. WS got me fucked up on that. And yeah, that's what I was talking about. How, like I said, I got, y'all should forgive. I mean, y'all should forgive me because I am scatterbrained about the whole matter of what the fuck has been going on. But I was talking about how, before I went on another tangent about how WS has gone out of its way to show me its so-called might. And what I'm finally starting to see, it's just like that old saying, right? The motherfucker who's talking the loudest is usually the weakest motherfucker in the room. And there's another recent saying, a phrase that I learned, that the louder a wagon rattles, the less material that it has on the motherfucker, pretty much. And you can literally, you can visualize that. You can imagine way back when, like back in the old west, when you know you had wagons that was carrying cargo, and how they wouldn't hardly make any kind of noise because it had weight to back it up. The kind of muffle the noise. Whereas a wagon that was completely empty, it bumping up against roads, that would be the motherfucker making the loudest noise, doing the most when it comes to making noise. And that's been my introduction to WS. WS going out of his way to find the introvert who don't get no girls, but up here making public enemy one out of a nigga like me. Not a nigga like my nigga Brett, even though, my nigga Brett said he had run ins with DPD. He's had run ins with these goddamn garbage ass police officers these bullshit ass Colorado cops out here trying to look like they doing their job. But I finally stumbled across some wisdom in all that about WS rambling and ranting towards ninjas like me. Because I talked about this too, about how they'll go after us, but they won't go after Pookies. And it makes sense. I finally figured it out. The reason why they do that, but they won't do that towards Pookie, because they know Pookie is a fool. Pookie will Swiss cheese their ass for one thing, and two, Pookie lives up to their stereotypes. Pookie proves that they're superior to him. Because all Pookie gonna do is get out here and be a whole crash out. He gonna wild out, he gonna crash out, he gonna end up in the pen. And even if he does get out, even if his offenses aren't great enough for him to basically do life up in there, when he gets out, he's gonna be useless to society because now he's got a record. And ain't nobody gonna want to hire his bullshit ass. So now you got the element of recidivism where he repeat offends because he can't get a job. Don't nobody want to hire him. So his only option of providing a lifestyle is slinging the dope. The very thing that most likely landed him in jail the first time. So they see a ninja like me hitting the books, doing the most, and not only that, not engaging in Pookie and Ray Ray activity. It it shatters the illusion of supremacy. Because how supreme are you to a cosmologist? How supreme could you be to a polyglot? How supreme, even on a level of physicality, how supreme could you be to some nigga, to some mandingo swole ass nigga benching damn near 300 pounds and been practicing martial arts for practically his whole life? How supreme are you to that? Other than a system, other than a socialist system that looks out for you and provides for you, because, and I've seen it, bro. I've witnessed it firsthand. How jealous it's jealousy, it's insecurity all over the place. Because at the end of the day, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. That's so-called supremacy. The only thing supreme about them is that they got a socialist system and a military backing them up. Because I'm here. I want the world to hear in on this. Because I know you got the U.S. military on your ass, and the U.S. military is a hard nut to crack. I know that. I know this. Because that's the one thing that this country probably has done right, is build up its military might to such a level that can't nobody really fuck with it like that. But one thing that America isn't supreme in is its morals. And this goes back to what I was talking about, that Shaolin monk calling the West weak, is its morals, its principles, its unity, its sense of sovereignty, its sense of pride. its understanding of the importance of education, much less its understanding of education, and what it claims freedom and justice for all, because it ain't no freedom and justice for anybody, for real. You got you got smackheads, crackheads, dopeheads, gangbangers. You got dykes and lesbos. Yeah, you got LGBT. You got the far left that's within itself tearing this nation a whole new different kind of asshole. It's doing it to itself. Why would a foreign power need to invade or try to do something to American soil when you got people on American soil doing something to America, doing America something? Because America itself is abandoning its core principles that made America a sovereign nation, that made it strong as a nation, not just a strong military, as a nation. So what, we got a little bit more strength than what, Latin America, and I don't know the entire history of it, but I've heard stories of, you know, all the fuck shit we've done to Latin America that's made Latin America so unstable. Is it any wonder that, many Latin American countries, particularly Brazil, belong to the BRICS nations? Any wonder in that? Any wonder why so many nations as a collective want to do away with America, do away with the American dollar, and not spend it, just spend their own currency? It's because of shit like this. And not to mention, yeah, just America's history with these countries and how America fucked them over, and what America does to its own people. Floods drugs, just like, yeah, just like, yeah, because I was thinking about this shit too, how, you know, America's, specifically Reagan's so-called war on drugs, right? So they flood. Let's get this straight, right? So the CIA floods drugs into the black community. We know this. And then they turn around and declare war on the black community because of the drugs that they flew. I mean, that they flooded it in. All that crack, right? But big surprise there, right? Because we are talking about, aren't we talking about the same nation that, aren't we talking about the same people who tries to be the police officers of the world, who tried to, or didn't try, did claim weapons of mass destruction over in the Middle East just some 20 odd years ago after 9/11, which we found out was actually, though the perpetrators of 9/11 were actually like either FBI or CIA agents. I completely forget, because y'all know Osama bin Laden worked for the CIA at one point. These were CIA operatives. I mean, they were Hajis, but they were backed by the CIA nonetheless. So of course they were Hajis. But aren't we talking about the same nation that claimed that the Middle East had weapons of mass destruction? So we got to go over there and stop Saddam Hussein from firing these weapons of mass destruction because he's the threat. And then we go over there, we raid Baghdad, we bomb Baghdad, kill innocent people over there in the midst of the so-called insurgents, like all the terrorist groups, like, yeah, like the Sunni and Shiite Muslims. and then raid them of their oil? Is that the same country we're talking about? So go figure they would do something like go figure they would do something like flood the black community with drugs and then send the uh send the American Gestapo on our asses forward and make sure that jobs in any kind of economic prosperity is nowhere to be found in the black community. So we don't have the option to get a 9 to 5. Slanging is your only choice. But in that, and one of the reasons why this particular generation is cooked is more so than the fact that the same war that was declared on drugs that was declared on black folks is not being declared on these others who are using it just as much, if not more, because like I said, it's a whole epidemic. It's damn. I would say if it weren't for the fact that it wasn't in the U.S., I would say it's a pandemic, but it's an epidemic, all from sea to shining sea. It's not just Denver. It's not just Colorado. It's Kensington, Pennsylvania. I dare say it's elements of Memphis. Because, like I said, don't get it twisted. Memphis definitely got drugs. But the problem with Memphis is that they all pewing each other down there. So that ain't it kind of goes under the rug. Because murder is what's on the menu in Memphis. It ain't really a drug thing, except for marijuana and this garbage ass marijuana. I didn't realize how good marijuana can actually smell till I came out here. But not that it matters, because I don't fuck with it like that. Shit might be laced with fentanyl. I ain't fucking with that shit, because that's probably what killed. Most likely, we surely enough the autopsy gonna come back. We gonna hear that somebody in there, one of my roommates, if not the landlord husband, gonna tell me that yeah, it was a fentanyl overdose. Because this fentanyl has been taking people out. It's killing people, bro. And what makes it so scary and dangerous is that it don't even take a whole lot. It takes less than half of a pill, like just a fraction, like a tenth of a pill, like a tenth of that shit. To either ingest it, smoke it, and that's all it takes for it to kill you. It's crazy, bro. It's so crazy. But one thing that makes this generation cooked, and my boy being a baby boomer and whatnot, he probably never even heard of it. Because that's the crazy part. It's like the ONs and the YNs missed something that us millennials got to see. Ain't that crazy? That is so crazy to me. That is so crazy to me because a lot of people are talking about how the cartoons of today are trash, and I believe that because the video games of today are trash. What the fuck? Oh, and I noticed that the minute I saw this goofy ass video game called Fortnite. I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit? I hate to say it, bro, but the height of gaming was the 90s and the 2000s. Somewhere along the line, that shit took a slippery slope, a nosedive into hell. But it's so crazy that the cartoons that we watch that our parents know nothing about, and now that many of us are parents, folks my age who managed to find somebody who was worth a damn and skeet it in, and now they got kids, that those kids and their generation know nothing about certain shows that we grew up when we was kids, like Captain Planet. Now, why do I bring up Captain Planet? Because when and I remember this too when I was a kid, I remember this specific episode, and it definitely pertains to this shit. And y'all probably know where I'm going with this. If y'all have seen y'all probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, if you know, basically. But there was this one episode on Captain Planet about the bad guys who were basically looting and polluting and doing, literally going out of their way to trash the earth, basically, literally destroy the earth. And it was the job of Captain Planet and his human planeteers to basically save the earth, recycle, don't trash it, stop forest fires because it kills the animals and we don't want to do that. Trying to preserve the integrity of the earth instead of using like sludge, sewage, trash, trash in the ocean, like they got down, and it would seem like those motherfuckers won in real life, because there was an episode where these bad guys, and I forget who they were. They were, one particular episode, because usually, they're just out, like I said, looting and polluting, trashing the earth, and sludge and sewage and simple trash. That was basically the kryptonite of Captain Planet. So all they had to do was hose them down with like some toxic waste, and it would weaken Captain Planet. And Captain Planet would be like, must find fresh water to cleanse myself of this sewage type shit. But one episode, it was a drug episode. It was an episode on drugs, and and we don't even know what the drug was, but they called it bliss. They called it bliss, and it was a feel good drug. It was a happy drug, and there was a scene where I forget her name, but it was basically the Russian chick, and it was about her cousin basically being hooked on bliss. And but the thing about it was, not only was he hooked on bliss, she was hooked on bliss. And one of the bad guys was in this helicopter flying by, and he was like, "Yeah, I got your stuff. Who's willing to?" He was basically like, "You do some fuck shit for me, and I'll give you all the bliss that you need." Because he had a whole, because and I want to say that they were giving it to him in increments, like in small doses, just to get him hooked. Kind of like the same fuck shit a drug dealer do, like a drug pusher. Same difference. But this time he had a whole bottle of the shit. And like I said, the Russian chick who was one of the Planeteers, she was hooked on this shit too. So the Russian girl's cousin, he basically fiending for it. He up here, they up in some building somewhere, and he's like, anything for it, anything, just give me my bliss. And he's like, well, here you go. And as soon as he got it, he had already downed like half a bottle of that shit. And then she took it, one of the Planeteers, and she started guzzling some of these bliss pills. And next thing you know, her cousin fall out. Her cousin stretched out. Her cousin stretched out. And dude, gone. Like, it ain't no, because it was like this Asian chick too who was a Planeteer. Because they had them from 7 continents throughout the earth. Like that's what it was based off of, except for Antarctica. I don't think there was no Planeteer for Antarctica. It was one for North America, South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. And of course, they were like, by your powers combined, I am Captain Planet. But dude was gone. He was stretched out. And the thing that makes my goofy ass millennial generation so fucked up is that we had the message. We had the message. Many of us just chose not to listen to it because, I heard about many of us millennials being on some Similac type shit. And, you look at the YNs now, the Gen Zers, and why they're so fucked up. Believe it or not, bro, I know it's hard to believe. It's because we were so fucked up. We were fucked up. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. Us millennials, we is a fucked up generation. And hey, you know, I wouldn't listen to the baby boomers because they a fucked up generation too. It's almost like it's skipped because I would say I'm willing to bet and agree that the coolest generation that probably did exist amongst, at least since the 60s, probably was Gen X. Because it damn sure wasn't us. It damn sure were no damn millennials, and it damn sure were no damn baby boomers. Because this dude, like I said, who was found stretched out, my dude who was just, like I said, after I went to work and then he was found stretched out, and they take him to the hospital, they take him to Denver Health, and come to find out this nigga done OD'd and expired on the shit. He was a baby boomer. Like I said, my daddy's age, out here partying, out here on some party shit. Hey, worked at King Supers. For y'all don't know, King Supers is what they call Kroger out here. It's kind of like what we had with Schnucks, but then Kroger took over Schnucks, and then they just started calling it Kroger. Dude up there working in the damn grocery store, old enough to be my daddy, old enough to be my father, working at a grocery store. I'm like, bro, you was playing, because my daddy just completed his PhD 4 years ago, and that's the kind of time that he was on, and that's the kind of time I'm on. So the last thing I need in my life is some drugs, some pills, some potions, some goofy ass all that party. That it's time out for that shit. Playtime is over, bro. And the last thing you want to be playing with anyway are some goddamn pills and potions. Cause look, it's taking everybody out. It took out my roommate. And the thing, like I said, the thing that what we had that I feel sorry for this new generation of YNs that they don't have are cartoons like that we had back when we was kids in the 90s. Because I know a lot of us want some rebellious shit, and we went along with it because, like I said, his girl, like I said, she 40. She obviously didn't get the message. A lot of us millennials didn't. Some of us did. I remember it, bro. They were pushing say no to drugs. They were pushing. Y'all remember DARE and what that stood for? In Memphis, of all places. It's like DARE, it was an acronym. It was like DARE to resist drugs and all this other stuff in the community type shit. And now I live in a part of the world, right? Because don't get it twisted. There are drugs in Memphis, for real, for real. And while we was pushing, to resist drugs, we should have been pushing to resist gun violence. Because now it's like, okay, y'all don't want to do drugs, so we'll leave y'all blicks. And not only will you leave y'all blicks, we'll make it that much even more easier for you to get access to the blicks. We'll add switches to the blicks. So y'all really can get out there and play tag, play death tag, be out there pew pewing each other. But there was an element of resistance, at least when I was growing up. And it was everywhere, bro. It was everywhere. Say no to drugs. Drugs will kill you. Don't. I mean, episodes, and it was all over the place too, because gang violence was a thing back. Y'all know gang violence was worse back in the 90s. They said, as bad as it is now, and I kind of believe it. I believe it. That gang violence in the 80s and 90s and even in the 70s was way worse than it is now. Except, of course, my city. because the murder wave has moved to my city now. So my city is experiencing what Los Angeles and New York, major cities experienced back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I guess it's just Memphis's turn to have its little crime wave, which is why I can't go back. Because I got to think about stuff like that. I probably would go back if they did something to that violence, with that violence, provided I finish everything I got to do here in Denver. It would be like a little, refugee spot type shit until, you know, I set baggage for either Germany or Asia. But I know my city, bro. It's probably not. I don't think, bro. It's us Memphis folks different. We a little different from the Angelino, the gangbangers of Chicago. Like Memphis different, bro. So it's probably not gonna be just some crime wave that lasts for a couple of years. No, it's probably gonna be here to stay, unless them niggas just unless everybody get done in and air it out. Because there's even a scripture in the Bible where it says Memphis will be laid to waste and bereft of inhabitants. Shit, it would be like 90% of the population that have to get aired out before that crime wave stopped. Because Memphis different, fool. It's just different. But with that said, though, in the 90s, before the crime wave hit Memphis and just spread throughout the entirety of the city where ain't nobody safe, we had elements like that. And that is so sad because not only we had something not only the previous generation had, being our parents, our baby boomer parents, but we had something that our now Gen Z children don't have. And that's cartoons, that's shows, that's episodes preaching against gang violence and preaching against the use of drugs, preaching against even just loosey goosey sex. And I mean, I'm just gonna say it with the way things are. I don't think, especially Colorado too. Shit, with the exception of damn, hot spots like Houston and Atlanta, where you got the HIV rates running all the way up. Y'all ain't fucking like that. I don't think so. While y'all up here probably wanting to clown me as well as the Japanese for fucking like, for not fucking like that. I don't think y'all fucking like that. I don't think that's what's going on. I don't think y'all clapping. I don't think y'all clapping booty butt cheeks like that. Ain't none of y'all. Ain't none of y'all recording. While you doing it doggy style, and you up in the front, and you got some girls big old ham hocks for booty butt cheeks, plopping up and down, and booty meat wiggling and jiggling. Y'all ain't got that going on. And then and taking selfies along with it, or like I said, got it recorded. Y'all ain't clapping cheeks like that. Nobody is, except like I said, except for the hot spots where it's hot for HIV. Yeah, they clapping. Yeah, so anywhere where they are clapping, they burn. They sick. So that's sad, man. That's really sad, and that's real, bro. That's life. That's reality. I'm giving it to y'all raw, bro. Because I'm giving it to you the same way it's presented to me. It's raw. It's ugly, but it's real. It's real. It gets real out here, bro. It gets real out here. Where you seeing, like I said, like back in Memphis, you see a nigga, or you hear like about one of your neighbors getting aired out or some shit, or you come out here and they up here rocking it like Hassan Campbell always talk about, rocking a nigga snot box or turning their TV off. These niggas, these drugs out here rocking snot boxes and turning TVs off. My homeboy turned his TV off. He turned his own damn TV off and he rocked his own snot box. Fucking with these goddamn drugs. Just fucked up. And I would try to be on some, youth pastor type shit or, mentor type shit for the so-called youth. But I'm here to tell you, little young niggas, it ain't no hope for you, little niggas. Y'all cooked. Y'all cooked. Y'all worse than us. Because again, as fucked up as my generation was, we had cartoons like that. We had youth pastors warning us about the dangers of, premarital sex. I don't know if that's going on. Shit, all the pedophilia that I've heard from the news lately, I don't think that's going on. Warning your sons, your teenage sons and daughters about here fucking around on anything and everything. You know, making sure they not doing it so that they don't get some unwanted pregnancy, so that they don't mess around and catch a goddamn STD that may or may not be curable. I don't think that's going on. But we had as well as warning about gang violence and drugs. So y'all are just cooked, bro. But if you knew what was good for you, and see this, and that's another reason why I'm mad at my dude, bro. He's 64 years old and he's up here living the life and living dying as recklessly as one of these YNs out here, getting stretched out on some drugs at 64 years old. You should be setting an example for the youth. And see, this is the shame of Colorado. While you pitch your nose at me, while you point your nose at me, like you know something, like you about something, you got what you got me doing is grieving, mourning the death of one of your own out here because he done fucked around and OD'd on some goddamn drugs. You got your own locals out here. While you got all this vitriol and you got all this static, right? For us expats, for us black expats at that, you got one of your homeboys who's a black dude, by the way, albeit a black Coloradan, getting stretched out, getting laid out, fucking with these drugs they got out here. Man, 64 years old. He wasn't no young nigga. He an old head. Like I said, old enough to be my daddy. And I'm basically unk. I got unk status. I'm basically unk status now. I'm an old head. But I'm alive. I'm healthy. I'm on the verge of benching damn near 400 at some point. Because like I said, I'm damn near. I'm on the road to doing it because I'm damn near at 300. 305 anyway. And, we live in a time and place. That's another thing. That's another thing. That's another thing. That's another thing we had as 90s kids. That's another thing we had as 90s kids. We had the encouragement of sports. We had the because sports keep you healthy, along with obviously, you want to stay off the drugs and the alcohol and the, premarital sex with anything and everything out here, obviously, and the gang violence. Obviously, you want to stay out of that. But another thing you want to avoid is being sedentary, being a couch potato. They taught us that, and that I was hard headed because I didn't really fuck with basketball like that. I thought it was too hard. I didn't have a whole lot access to baseball, even football like that. And even if I did, you know, it was real hard keeping interest in, especially in something like sports, because I was what they call a gamer. I was a gamer. I remember that shit. It wasn't until I was like 16 type shit that I finally decided to go outside and basically with this boken that I got from our local martial arts store, start practicing kenjutsu. Because obviously I didn't want to be out there doing no taekwondo moves. I mean, I call myself trying to be committed to taekwondo like that, but I wasn't committed to taekwondo like that. I just wasn't. I did it for 3 years. I called myself trying to get back into it. My folks weren't really feeling that for real. So I thought, once I, what I'm saying, once I came of age, I'd go back and, reinitiate, you know, my glory days of Taekwondo from the time I was about 12 till I was about 15. And I ended up finding ninjutsu of all martial arts. I ended up finding ninjutsu, Kali, and Pencak Silat of the Philippines and Indonesia. So, point being, and it was through that I found the importance of, like I said, weightlifting, calisthenics and cardio. Basically, MMA type shit. Yeah, MMA too, and the martial arts that are normally associated with MMA, as well as the ones that aren't. Y'all didn't have that. Y'all didn't have that. I feel sorry for y'all, bro. And how many of y'all are actually in these arts? How many of y'all are in the boxing gym? How many of y'all are in the schools? In fact, I heard that the schools are getting worse. That you YNs are even dumber than we was. Because at least we fought the shit. We resisted. Or some of us did. Most of us didn't. But there was still a last line of resistance. There was a last yeah. There was a last line of resistance. And that was a ninja such as myself. As well as I imagine so few others. Because like I said, millennials, we gave into that shit, and then we were allowed to give birth to these Gen Zs, as well as the Gen X. I'm pretty sure Gen Xers have Gen Z kids too. And now it's cook. They cook. They cook. They really cook. Dumbed them up, stupid, bro. They are the level of stupid that they wanted to make us out of. That's what it is, bro. That is what it is. They thought we was dumb. Like, nah, these new Gen Z motherfuckers dumb, stupid, hopeless. And it's only a matter of time before, something like the drugs get y'all. Because I can sit up here and tell y'all that you don't want to do drugs. I can sit up here and tell you you don't want to join a gang. But see, now by you not joining the gang, and I know your predicament. Now, by you not joining the gang or by you not doing drugs, you're a weirdo now. You're a lame. You're a creep. Girls ain't gonna like you. You're not part of the in crowd. How do I know that? Because that's the way it's been for some time. Your friends are your best recipe as far as sending you to hell. Because like I said, I ain't got no heaven or hell to put my dude in, to put my boy in. But it goes without saying, Brett was a 2/3 ninja. Brett was a 2/3 ninja. To be stretched out at 64 years of age on dope, and guess who he had? He had me. He had me. I didn't know about his drug habit. I mean, I knew of it. I knew he slang, but he didn't show. It ain't like he had pills and potions and was up here, all fucked up and stretched out. Because, like I said, every time I saw him, he had a cigarette in his hand, a beer can in his hand, or both. And I knew he was slanging it, but I didn't think he was using it. And that's the name of the game. I thought the name of the game is you slang it, but you don't get hooked up. You don't get hooked on it. You don't get hooked on your own product. And it don't make it no better. It don't make him no better if you slanging it. You still a piece of shit. You destroying lives. You destroying people on some profit type shit. trying to make a profit off of it. I mean, you still a piece of shit doing something like that. So yeah, man, I think I'm gonna go and let it go. Yeah, I think I'm done ranting about this whole thing. I think I said everything I need to say because it just comes as a major blow on my journey, on my own journey to sovereignty. The kind of fuck shit that I'm seeing from these 2/3 ass ninjas, bro. From these washed up Keishas who are, I mean, now Keisha, youthful Keisha, like Big Bro AC be talking about, youthful Keisha ain't giving, your boy no kind of play, but they up here coming up here washed. They having the audacity to bring they prune faced ass, wrinkled ass, California sun raising look face ass, all washed. They coming at a nigga on that kind of time, right? Oh shit. It's 11 o'clock, y'all. I think I'm about to head out. See this light. I don't want no trouble, so let me go. It could be the park ranger, it could be the regular police. We gotta get our asses up out of here by 11 o'clock. So let me go get my ass on. So I mean, this is just it's the song of my journey, though, bro. Of what I'm saying that I'm facing as I'm getting basically making my way to the promised land for real, and all the things that I'm encountering, the far and few Coloradans I'm cool with, as well as the ones I'm not cool with, and how they all just seem to be meeting their fate most of the time at their own hand, at each other's own hands. How they be, like I said, be backstabbing each other for real. I'm like, what kind of fucking friend is that? What kind of gene pool is that to be seeking out a damn woman, much less a friend, much less a nigga you can kick it with and be cool with? Just by that definition of who he was, Brett was one of a kind, and the fact that you know he was a cool ninja, but at the end of the day, he was a Colorado ninja, which means that everything that Colorado consists of, like that goofy ass Colorado lifestyle, where you want to be a part-time banger, but at the same time you over here fucking with drugs. Because I tell you one thing, I know for a fact that if you gonna bang, being hooked on some shit like that, I already know that's a no-no. Because how you gonna be banging when you fucked up in the game? Real shoot, even real shooters, like folks who just got there just banging like shooters, I know they ain't hooked on no product. Because how they gonna perform? How they gonna put in work? They hooked on the shit. And again, that goes back, Colorado. Let me say it again, especially you, Denver. And this probably applies to Colorado Springs too. If you wondering why the rest of the country don't take your so-called gang-banging culture serious with your sorry-ass Bloods, your sorry-ass Crips, your sorry-ass GDs, and your sorry-ass Vice Lords that y'all apparently have, as well as all these bullshit-ass Mexican gangs, it's because so many of us are pulling up and y'all ain't busting a grape. Answer number one. Just like Train de Aragua pulled up and y'all ain't bust a grape. The only gang who came and got them up out of here was ICE. Where were the Bloods and the Crips? Where were the GDs and the VLs? Or the Denver chapter of these gangs, anyway. Because if it was Chicago, if it was Los Angeles, Chicago with its GDs and Vice Lords, and Los Angeles with its Bloods and Crips, dealing with Train de Aragua, oh, it would have been a whole different story. The only gang who came and got them up out of there was ICE. There's that. So that's answer number one. Answer number two, y'all too privileged. Y'all are too privileged. Y'all don't know what it's like, the real struggle. That's why, vices like little vices like drugs and shit and these hardcore drugs, y'all can get hooked on that shit like it's nothing and get stretched out, living like y'all some damn teenagers, trying to relive your glory years, probably as a teenager, because many of y'all didn't go to college for real. I mean, years ago. Let me tell y'all another thing. Let me tell everybody back home and back on the East Coast another thing that these goofy ass Coloradans be doing. Do y'all know these motherfuckers have a whole genre, a whole clothing line of shirts and T-shirts and shit of our memorabilia, and by our I mean like FBA type shit. They got like Aaliyah. I don't know if I talked to y'all about that. So you got Gen Zs wearing shirts who swear they hate black folks too. Swear they hate black folks. Can't stand us pinche mayates, but up here wearing shirts of Aaliyah. They wearing Aaliyah. I mean shit from the 90s, bro. And I know Aaliyah died in 2001. I know that. They wearing shirts of TLC, like I mean of black bands from back in the 90s and black movies from the 90s. They got Poetic Justice and the number one, their favorite, their favorite, which is a classic among us FBAs, Boys in the Hood. We talking about a movie that is literally what, 33 years old? 33 years old, is that right? 33 years old? Is that right? Or is it 35 years old? Or is it 34 years old? Because my brother was born in 1994, and he just had his 30th birthday. So I'm thinking, you had that times three because Boys in the Hood came out in 1991. You got YNs out here wearing shirts of memorabilia of a movie that came out over 30 years ago, and those YNs, if they assuming they did watch the movie, clearly didn't get the message of the movie. If it's one thing I cannot stand too, if it's one thing I cannot stand, it's in Colorado is prime proof of this shit too, bro. Colorado is the epitome of this shit. If it's one thing that you don't want in your ranks, is a wannabe, because the wannabe is going to be out there doing the most, trying to overcompensate for the lack of experience. That wannabe is going to be basically, like I said, doing the most, trying to overcompensate for what it clearly lacks from, the other, OGs. And one thing that it does lack for real is authenticity. So with that said, I'm gonna say shout out to my partner Brett. May he rest in peace. That's all I can say, bro. Cause like I said, I ain't got a heaven or a hell to put him in. But we Israelites know that this is the fate of the 2/3. Whether we cool with them ninjas or not, whether we cool with them or not, whether we rock with them or not, it's the fate of the 2/3, and that being most of us Negroes, is getting our beaks blown, or not ours, is them getting their beaks blown off, getting arrested, And even in some cases, even at my dude's age, getting stretched out, fucking with these drugs out here. Because drugs is really a thing out here. It's real out here, bro. One thing I will give Colorado is they deep they deep on that auto theft shit. Depending on where you go, they deep on that shooting shit, especially in Aurora. And they deep on, drugs and homelessness. Which, like I was telling my seafood, go hand in hand. It's real out here. It's real out here. But yet, but yet, they have everything it takes. They literally have everything it takes to be successful except one thing. They ain't got, well, several things. Let me go back. Let me backtrack. They ain't got the principles. They ain't got the discipline. And worst of all, they ain't got the will. And I think I'm going to go and say this, then I'll get off. This literally, because, I was, when it happened, bro, I was thinking of all kinds, and I'm glad I got to this point. I needed to get to this point. Hopefully I can say it before my phone shut off or I run out of space again. Uh, when it happened, when I realized that Brett had given up the ghost due to this, I was thinking of all the scriptures that my youth pastor told us about sin. And I was thinking about how, the good book says, be ye not foolish, and be ye not overly foolish, be ye not overly wicked. Why should you die before your time? That was one. Scripture number one. Scripture number two was the scripture. I don't know it it's in its entirety, but I know it's in the book of Numbers, where it talks about your sin finding you out. Scripture number three was the one where Jesus talks about, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But I'm come so that you may have life and have it more abundantly. And if this was the last scripture, it definitely wasn't the least, was the one that definitely speaks volumes to the nature of Denver and Colorado and why it is the way it is, and why we expats seem to be doing a much better job in handling Colorado than the damn Coloradans themselves, is because of the scripture that says, without a vision, the people perish. Literally, a visionless people is a dead people, is a perishable people. And let me tell you before I get off. Let me tell you about Denver and its vision. Let me tell you about Denver's vision. You know what the problem is with Denver's vision? They ain't got one. What Denver's problem is as far as its vision, they ain't got one. No purpose, no direction, no aim, not trying to get anywhere in life, not trying to do anything in life. And you sitting up here partying, drinking, smoking, fornicating, gangbanging until you age out. Until either one, you age out due to natural causes, or you age out due to unnatural causes like overdose. Because it's a thing out here for real. Like they got Colorado crisis centers out here. Look this stuff up, bro. Colorado's something serious, bro. It really is. Colorado is something serious. These folks got issues. I mean issues. Just because they ain't got nearly as much crime as Memphis do, it don't divorce them from being crazy and just fucked in the head. There's something wrong with these motherfuckers. And what that is, I don't know. People say it's the lead in the water. It can be all the the witchcraft and Satanism they practice out here, directly or indirectly, whether they just sporting their little, satanic shirts that they be doing, as well as the drugs, or all the above. It's fucked up out here, bro. It really is. But ultimately, yeah, that's their problem. They ain't got no vision. They ain't got no vision, and many of them are children of a lesser God. And with that said, I'll catch y'all in the next vid. I'm out, and may my dude rest in peace. Cause, like I said, God be with you. Cause even though I want to say I know, I can't say that I know. Cause like I said, I ain't got a heaven or hell to put my dude in. But if I did, I would have to, being an Israelite, I would have to judge my dude the same way on a fair scale, no matter how much I fuck with him. With that said, I mean, it is what it is. And with that said, if I judge them on the same scale that I judge everybody else, just off of that, I would have to say I know where he is. And y'all know what I'm talking about. So it's fucked up, man. Like I said, I'm mad at Bull, bro. I'm disappointed in him, bro. Can't believe he did that shit. And then like I said, you wondering why the youth is fucked up. I mean, look at the older folks. Like I said, folks old enough to be my daddy stretching themselves out, fucking with this bullshit ass fentanyl, because most likely it was fentanyl. I don't know, man. I'll catch y'all in the next video. I'm out. Yeah, look out for future videos, because I'm nowhere near through talking about the ass hattery and the bullshittery of the community throughout the nation, not just here in Denver, but throughout the nation. Because if it wasn't for this, I was gonna get on this whole. I was gonna get on not necessarily young Scooter's ass, but the broad who killed her ass for allegedly who set him up to die for because allegedly, they was having a little party and whatnot, and he basically didn't want her being there. I was gonna get on her ass, but then this shit happened, and my dog give up the ghost on me. I mean, basically he deleted himself, fucking these damn crazy ass drugs out here. So yeah, man, it's all over the place. But maybe there'll be a little more stability next week, and plus I'll have more time next week because I'll be off for the whole week. So we're gonna get into more reasons and more evidence that the day of the Geechee, like Sergeant Water said, he wasn't lying. The day of the Geechee is gone, and Shine Bones, these 2/3 Shine Bones are going with it, and that's the evidence, bro. That's real. And he was one of the few Shine Bones that I actually fucked with, cause he was cool with me. And if you cool with me, I'm cool with you. But if you're not cool with me, it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem. Cause like I said, if he was just a typical 2/3 Shine Bone, this would be a whole different approach. I'd be up here mocking his death, cause I do that. Just like these YNs do. Be up there smoking on their dead ops and shit. I mean, not physically, but metaphorically. I'll piss on my enemy's grave. I'll talk all kinds of fucked up about them after they done died. Y'all, I'm sure y'all heard my didn't feel good jokes, but I ain't gonna do my boy like that. Y'all know he was my dog, he was my boy, so I ain't gonna do him like that. But like I said, I'm mad at him though. I'm disappointed in him. So we just gonna see what's up next week. We gonna go into young Scooter and all the bullshit that came with that, and Keisha literally responsible for his death. So again, catch y'all till next week. I'm out.